You may remember, you may remember a couple of months ago on Twitter, I believe it was, the hashtag was trending called hashtag scandals to come. Or is it the hashtag scandals to come, or it was hashtag Tory scandals to come? And this was being shared a lot by journalists because a lot of them were receiving a lot of information, both from government and through other sources, that there were a lot of Tory scandals brewing and that they were just now starting to investigate a lot of these potential scandals. Hence why the hashtag was called hashtag scandals to come. Um, and bring up more and more of this. There is one in evident, very, very evident plain sight. Throughout all this coronavirus crisis, we have seen constant handing out of government contracts without any need to tender for the contract given to basically, well, friends of the Tory party, shall we say, to a point where we had one Tory peer recently in the House of Lords who had connections to the company, which was only 4 weeks old. Bear in mind, got given a massive sum of money to essentially provide equipment for the NHS, and yeah, why on earth was this company that was 4 weeks old given this vast amount of money with absolutely no scrutiny? Um, Hence why hashtag scandals to come. Yeah, it's absolutely obvious that once again the Tories probably are up to their eyeballs in corruption in this crisis, and one of the reasons why I push definitely is that we need to be starting a investigation and a open and independent inquiry into this whole government's, not only the handling of the coronavirus crisis, but into how the government has handed out the contract money as well, and why there was no scrutiny, and why some of it has just gone absolutely terribly wrong. And luckily, we have some MPs who feel that this inquiry, again, because this inquiry needs to be started by Boris or voted for in Parliament, but with the majority of Tories in place in Parliament at the moment, that is not going to happen because, quite frankly, they know how bad the coronavirus has just damaged their name. Hence why Labour has basically just rising and rising in the polls constantly over this period. So they're quite worried now that they are going to absolutely thrashed, because there's one thing that Tories worry about more than anything else, and that is losing power. They experienced it quite badly in the shall we say the Blair years, and they are desperate to get not to be in that same situation again. Never again do they want to be that out of power for that long. So, onto the article then. So, this comes from The Guardian, and it is MPs launch legal action against the UK government over COVID contracts. Now, we've already said before, just this week, that the government has been trying to push for people not to take the government to court, which is very, very worrying, because litigants should always be able to challenge the government over not only its own laws, but even its own rulings as well. So, a legal action has been launched over the government's failure to disclose details of its spending on contracts related to the pandemic, as it emerged that it has failed to account for 3 billion spent on private contracts since the start of lockdown. The three cross-party MPs and the Good Law Project, a non-profit making organisation, have filed a judiciary review against the government for breaching the law and its own guidance, and argue that there are mounting concerns over coronavirus coronavirus procurement processes, so we say. Green Party MP Caroline Lucas, Labour's Debbie Abrams, and the Liberal Democrat Lila Moran say that despite the Department of Health and Social Care, or DCHS, disclosing in September, at least 11 billion worth of contracts have been awarded by the department since April, and related to predominantly to coronavirus, and fresh analysis of the data, analysis Trussell shows that over 3 billion of these contracts have not been made public. So they've been handing out money on the quiet, which is even more worrying. But there you go. So DHSCS has said that due diligence was carried out on all government contracts which has been awarded. The government has 21 days to respond to the judicial review proceedings, and John Mollian, QC, director of the Good Law Project, said, "What we know about the government's procurement practices during the pandemic gives real cause for concern. Huge sums of public money have been awarded to companies with no discernible expertise. Sometimes the main qualification seems to be a political connection with key government figures." As we said at the beginning, prime example, just one of the many that has happened over this time, but the most recent, a Conservative peer, we had connections to a company that was 4 weeks old, got money for procurement of PPE. What discernible expertise and knowledge does a company have 4 weeks old, let alone be able to demonstrate and show that it can actually deliver on said contract? It's only 4 weeks old. But, this is the state we're in. Anyway, he continues. "And I have seen some evidence that the government is sometimes paying more to buy the same product from those with political connections. So we don't know what else there is to discover because the government is deliberately keeping the public in the dark." So this is just an absolute money making operation. So let's just go over that again. The government is sometimes paying more to buy the same product from those with political connections. That should be incredibly worrying for that, because that's clearly a lot of corruption going on there, and in plain sight as well. And of course, the fact that there is a 3 billion floating around that we don't know where it's gone to, it should be even more cause for concern. Anyway, he continued, "We are left with no option but to push for transparency through the courts." Lucas added, "When billions of pounds of public money is handed out to private companies, some of them with political connections but no experience in delivering medical supplies, ministers should be explaining why those companies were awarded the contracts." And I completely agree. Why on earth would you expect a company with no expertise in delivering medical supplies that was 4 weeks old? How? It just doesn't make any sense. It just goes beyond unbelievable. But there you go. "It is completely unacceptable that, as an MP, I'm prevented from being able to scrutinise those decisions." Abrams said that the persistent failure to publish the details of the COVID contracts lead you to wonder what this government has to hide. Hence why there is a very, very obvious attempt to try and obscure as much as they talk about. The Tories have constantly talked about, oh yes, we want to be open and honest with what's going on, but as soon as people try to get them to be open and honest about what's going on, they are very, very quiet on that subject. Morgan also said that it is totally unacceptable for the government to avoid scrutiny during a public health crisis. The legal challenge is being crowdfunded with support of 38 Degrees and the Good Law Project, and 3 MPs have instructed Dennington Pierce Glynn, Jason Coppell QC and Christopher Knight of 11 KBW to act in the judicial review proceedings. The campaign's director of 38 Degrees, Ellie Garland, said that the public needs to know where taxpayers' money has been spent in our ongoing battle against the coronavirus so that we can be sure that those who have been paid deliver what they promised. That's why thousands of members of the public have chipped in to help get the answers that we deserve. Transparency is needed to restore public trust in the government's approach. Couldn't Couldn't agree more. So yeah, if you go onto the 38 Degrees website, you will be able to find it very easily. It's on the front page. So absolutely go sign the petition, because again, that gets sent to your local MP. That will then get them to back this. And as I've constantly said, there is a theme going on this channel that you need to write to your MP and tell them this is what you need to support. Even if your current MP happens to be a Tory, write to them, because they will know when a fire's being lit under them, and that will force them to action, because we are very, very politically active as a populace in the UK, and we really, really need to become more politically active. This is why I weep when I look at countries like France, Germany, the Netherlands. They're so much more politically active than we are, and it is down to especially education in like politics and what goes on. But again, that's another topic for another time. But anyway, thank you for watching. Please do head over to 38 Degrees and sign that petition and chip in money if you can. It is definitely a very worthy cause. I've already chipped in some money myself to it. So please do hit that share and like button. It does help out the channel. If you are new, please do hit that subscribe button. We do talk about British politics quite a bit on this channel. And of course, if you would like to support the channel in another way, please do visit my Patreon page and a one-off donation link should you like to support the channel that way. And thank you to the people who currently do support the channel in that way. It is very, very much appreciated. So with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.